Hey everyone, this is Kenlin, and this is your transmission for the week of April 25th through May 2nd. I'm focusing on that week because this is the week where all the planets are direct. So we're going to have Mercury stationing direct on the same day as the full moon in Scorpio. That's April 25th. And Pluto stations retrograde on May 2nd for 104 days. That's a while. But if you think back to the beginning of 2024, we had all planets go, all planets moving forward. There was this sense of things are moving. If you compare them to late last year, things are moving, our projects are moving, we're getting new downloads. Everything happened until the eclipse and then that Mercury retrograde. And even then, I think that retrograde was really more about understanding who we are now and getting the codes from the healing that we received from Chiron and the new cycles that we were initiated from the new moon solar eclipse in Aries and also the Uranus Jupiter conjunction. So we had just huge, huge energies, and they're still huge for this latter part of April, taking us into May, and we have all systems go. So I want to use this as a moment to talk about overwhelm, because this is going to be a recurring theme in 2024 and certainly in 2025. It's not going to get better. The sense of life speeding up, we don't go like, oh, now it feels slow now. It's just that's gone. It's over. It's done. We are now, Pluto is now in Aquarius. We're in the Aquarian Age. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Uranus is fast moving. It's lightning fast. It's bursts, it's electrical, it's buzzy, it's scattered. And if you get caught up in all of that, you will feel overwhelmed. Plus the opportunities, the things that we're creating. Now people are stepping into their power and creating new things. Before it was just an elite group of creators, an elite group of change makers. Now leadership, because the North Node in Aries is activating all of us in our leadership, whatever it is, we're here to lead. We're here to say, we now want to come forward with our gifts. And that can be overwhelming to you, thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get my stuff in the market space? And we deal with that kind of thinking in the Creators Academy. There's a whole understanding and context that you need to have that I'm not going to go into through here. But that sense of overwhelm is certainly there. And I have felt it and I've been working with it. And I want to share with you some hacks on how to work with it, because we need to get over this story of overwhelm, of busyness. When you utter the words, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so busy, it's not a problem. That's just sometimes you need to say that to admit those things to yourself. But if you're uttering those words as a mantra, as your go-to, as the story you keep telling yourself, your life is going to reflect that. And what happens when life speeds up? You're just going to get slammed and you'll be ineffectual and not present for the very things that you want to be present. So it's a kind of juxtaposition of the world getting faster and our human bodies, they're set at a frequency. That's the Schumann resonance. Go outside, put your hands on the ground or put your bare feet on the ground and tune into the subtlety of Earth and her pulse. She is slower. I was just at a women's circle and this woman lived in the forest. I don't know how long, maybe let's say a year. And then she just moved back to San Diego. And she's like, the pulse is like this, because in the forest, the pulse is slower. You can hear yourself. You can actually tune into the subtlety. That's where you can hear the different cries of birds. You know them. That's the ancients knew them because they were at a slower frequency, tuning into the subtleties around them. And now we're aware of the subtleties inside of us. Just tune in for a moment there. Even as I'm speaking, tune into the subtlety inside your own body. As we ascend in evolution, in our personal growth, we're not here to tune out. We're here to tune in even deeper. And so we need to know how to work with that tuning in even deeper. When we do that, we actually have all the answers we need. We don't really need to be on this frenetic treadmill. That frenetic treadmill is a defense mechanism. It's probably keeping you from something you don't want to face. But when you turn and face it, and I know this all the time, there are things in my work, like I set up the Evolving Sisters Network, and I spent a lot of time during that last part of the year and the eclipse and the retrogrades, like getting clear on my model, because if I have my model, I know where I'm going. Then I can say no to all the bright, shiny objects. You know how many things, because the algorithm knows that I'm an entrepreneur, it feeds me every single bright, shiny object there is. But I just pass on it when I know where I'm going and I know what stage of business I'm in. That took me a long time to understand. I had to tune in. I had to trial and error this thing. I had to get good mentorship. And now I know. And so then I can have the confidence and courage to say, that's not for me. Tuning out those bright, shiny objects. And having another way, because what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? And that bright, shiny object was really for me. Well, I always trust that the universe knows how to get my attention. You know, it just does. Like 3 people telling me the same thing, right? And then you finally pay attention, or someone telling me a new context around it. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was for XYZ. I didn't know it was for ABC. So we can relax. And I have a lot to say about with respect to human design and the type and the codes that you've received through your type. I'm going to save that for inside the membership, because we are going to do a human design teaching. But so where we're at here, I was talking about feeling the Schumann resonance, feeling the resonance of Earth. One of the things I love to do, and here's number 1 hack, is to co-regulate. I'm going to use that term from therapy, co-regulate with a tree. So there are these beautiful, like very soft barked trees in my neighborhood that are white. They're not aspens. I don't know what they are, but they're white. And when you touch them on your hand, you can get a little bit white powder. So there are times when I'm on the walk where I'll put my whole body, my core against that tree to receive. And I can feel the difference. Sometimes I'll put my third eye or my cheek on that tree. And I just received the codes to remember that I'm a mammal and that I'm of Earth, I'm carbon, and we are slower. You know, we are slow. Even the jaguar, who's damn fast, is not fast all the time. They slow down. Like the hummingbird, maybe that one's not so slow. But we are mammals. We're here to entrain ourselves in Mother Earth's frequency. And yet we have this technological frequency of electricity, electromagnetism that is just vibrating off the charts. It's Uranian, it's Aquarian, and Pluto is in those signs planets. So that's why I say for the next 19 years, it's not slowing down. We're going to get faster. And the role of AI is to take us even faster and to allegedly take off some of our workload. I'm not sure, only if we choose it, because technology can enslave us. And that's the other thing we need to know. So let me get to my hacks on overwhelm. Let's start with tuning in. You need to tune in to know what's true for you. You will be subject to bright, shiny objects if you don't tune in to what's true for you. Now, the founder of Landmark said, if you don't have a vision, then you're going to be thrown about, I'm paraphrasing, by circumstances. So either circumstances guide you or your vision guides you. And this is what I'm presencing here. And I don't mean just a mental construct of where you're going. I mean an embodied sense of what's true for you. And you hook that with a vision, and I'm going to call that vision gnosis. It's not made up from your egoic mind. It's something that comes through as you know that that's why you're here. So the full moon and Mercury, when it goes stations direct, will be in the shadow of purposelessness. And you can see how that shadow feeds into overwhelm. And I just did a video on Gene Key 27 and the programming partner 28 for this full moon. So if you want more of that, pop over there. I'm not going to go into it. But suffice it to say, when we're not on purpose or we don't know our purpose, then we are subject to circumstances, conditions, all the stuff around us that's vying for our attention. But like when I know my business model, then I can let go of the other things that are not my business model. And there you have it. If you know your purpose, you can let go of what's not your purpose. So tuning in, having an embodied sense. You can think something's your purpose, but if it just doesn't connect and feel right, then you've got to keep working with it. The other thing that's going to be important is choosing. So we're not victims here. If you're overwhelmed, look at where you have given your power away. What are you not choosing? We are curators. We are not here to suck down what people serve us. We are here to curate our experience of life. We really can do that. The way that broadcast and the internet has shifted everything from top-down programming to now you can go on YouTube and get this and anything else you want. You can talk about aliens or quantum healing or astrology. You absolutely can curate what comes into your consciousness, and you must curate. So think about that in every part of your life. What are you curating as your experience here on planet Earth? You know, it's finite as you. It's infinite as a soul, but it's finite as the incarnation of you. So what are you curating? What do you want to experience? What are you willing to feel and work with? Where do you want to head? Okay, so we've talked about tuning in, choosing, having a vision, and then we get to talk about prioritizing. So in every moment, we get to be really ninja about our priorities. This is not simple, but it's a worthwhile skill set to acquire. Because if everything has the same priority, then everything needs to be attended to at the same time. And that's just not true. That's false. That's an illusion. So we need to know, what is our priority? So what trumps what? Is it my kids? Is it my job? Is it my relationship? Is it my purpose? Is it my connection with God? We really do need to prioritize, because everything will be in alignment then. The other thing I'd like to say is, think about a full life. A full life has many aspects to it. Let's just give the number 10 aspects to it. I once listened to an audio from Dave Rico, How to Be in Relationship. He also wrote a book called How Relationships Work, or How to Be an Adult in Relationship, something like that. There's one that's audio and one that's written. And he said, he drew bright line rules. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment as another hack. But he said, listen, you're going to get only 25% from your partner. That's it. You don't get everything from your partner. What 25% do you want? So if you want a handyman, then great. If you want a king and an erotic tantric king, then there you go. We don't get to have it all, because they're not incarnated for the purpose of serving us exclusively, right? We get 25%. That's how that works. And they get 25%. We didn't incarnate to fill all their needs. They didn't incarnate as partners to fill all our needs. So therefore, we get to prioritize what is really important to us. I mean, I can hire a handyman, but I really don't want to hire my tantric lover, right? Or not, whatever it is that your agreement and purpose as your relationship. Every relationship has a purpose. Sometimes it's just to bring kids into the world. And other times it's to bring your work out into the world. I mean, who am I to say? I can't. Everybody has a soul contract. So those 8 or 10 things, when Dave Rico said that, what he was pointing to is that your life, you have other things. You go to the gym, you have a relationship with God, you have a relationship with your friends, your family, your children, your work. Maybe you volunteer and you're in service. So if you look at your life in chunks, maybe you like to master crypto or understand investing. Look at your life in chunks. You have only a certain amount of chronos time and attention. We like to rest, we like to play, we like to be in pleasure. We like to, if we go in the frequency of Mother Earth, we want to go at a different pace oftentimes. So all that can be workable when we're very clear and prioritize, and we have purpose and we have a vision. All of that can get clear. So for me, I love animal causes, and so dogs and wolves, and also like the polar ice caps. Like those are things that I allow in my inbox. I curate that information. The rest of that, there's information about everything, butterflies, giraffes, bees, everything. And it's all important. But, I only have so much attention. So I choose the things that I'd like to be knowledgeable about so I can give to it or even volunteer for it. I've done so much volunteering for animals in different causes because I was aware of the issue. I can't tell you how many times I speak about the issues I care about and people will say, I never heard that. I didn't know that. That's because the algorithm just serves us what it is we're interested in. So on one hand, it's being aware that we're inside of a bubble, and on another hand, choosing to focus our time and attention where we think we have the biggest impact and where our heart is really telling us. So let me talk about 2 other things. One I already mentioned, and that's the bright line rule. This came from the legal world. So in the legal world, there are bright line laws. And that means I don't really care why you did it. Motive doesn't matter. I didn't know that it was against the law, doesn't matter. It's just, it is what it is. You broke it, you pay. There are not too many of those, but for efficiency's sake, it's efficient. Like we don't want to hear the damn story. It's enough to know, like statutory rape is one of them. If you have sex with a minor, we don't care if she said she was 18. We don't care if he said he was 18, whatever it is, we don't care. It's against the law. It's called a bright line rule. It sacrifices a level of truth, which could be, actually really was consensual, for a clarity. Like we don't want any confusion about this. So bright line rules I employ in my life. For example, I have a bright line rule about gluten. I don't eat it, period. There's no exception. So if someone said, this is like the best bread in the world from Italy, I would be like, awesome. I'm just going to watch you enjoy it. But there's nothing in me that wants it because I've already trained myself. And this is where we train our mind. I've already trained myself that is not for me, period, full stop. So I don't spend any energy questioning it. It's just not an energy leak for me. Because when I do, what happens is, where's it from? Does it have a lot of sugar in it? Well, what else is in it? Is it kind of good for me? Where else can I get this? When can I get this? I'll never be able to get it. Okay. Do you see how much brain energy I'm using on one single small decision? Cut it out. That's like overwhelm on steroids because you have that crap going on in the background and it creates static noise. And then you think you're going to navigate your kid's life, your job, your spirituality, your friendships. You're not. You got to stay clean in your mind. So bright line rules can help. If you have a recurring argument with a spouse or a partner or a friend, bright line rule it. Figure out what the thing is. It's going to be probably something that neither of you love the answer, but you don't hate the answer. It's kind of like you're in the ballpark there. maybe it's like picking up socks or doing dishes. You just agree that this is just going to be the solution. You could also agree that, gosh, in the mornings, it's like super chaotic. Okay, so we're going to do our night times different to set us up for the mornings. And I'm really talking to, like, so many of you are ninja on this because you're parents and you had to get ninja, or else the whole thing bleeds out with crying and breakdown. But if you're tolerating repeated breakdown, stop. This is your moment, especially with a full moon shining the light. Stop. It's costing you money. Let me just tell you that. I can guarantee you somewhere it's costing you money. So stop doing it and create a bright line rule. Lastly, I'm going to say, tap into your sacred no. Find the places where it's just no, and maybe it's hard for you to say no. I get asked a lot of things in my role with the Evolving Sisters Network, and I have to use discernment, because if I don't, and I do everything, and sometimes I want to do everything, I find myself working on things that are of very low priority, that are not building and serving the vision of the network. And I'm like really just cleaning up a typo or managing the Facebook group. And I can easily get my attention hijacked. So I have had to rediscover the sacred no. And I did a whole teaching on that, Gene Key 40. You can search for it in YouTube. In my transmissions, it's called The Sacred No, and it was really impactful. And I don't need to go into it here because I did that there, but I'll just presence that that's one of the tools that will help us. So get a sense of this week, of the speed of this week, and work with that speed with the Schumann resonance and nature, and then work with these kind of tools and hacks to see if you can get more true, get more authentic in your life. Because that's, after all, what we really want. We don't need a structure that is so contained that we feel like we're in a straitjacket. It actually needs to be living and breathing so that we actually are more of who we are rather than less of who we are. We're not a robot. We're going to be able to leave all that stuff to robots. Oh goodness, my dog just fell off the couch. So therefore, I'm going to end this transmission now, sending you so much love, and I'll see you on the next video.